trauma is the underlying cause of almost every psychiatric diagnosis. But if someone is suffering mentally and emotionally and they would want to speak about it, so it is said कि no, हमारे घर में नहीं होता है. Because the society does not accept it, mental illnesses are still looked as a taboo. People get into a lot of toxic patterns of relationship, especially this narcissist empath thing. So a people pleaser will, till they have realized what is wrong with them, they will continuously start attracting one narcissist after the other. He would send his wife with someone else so that she earns money and he can have enough for the substance. As we were discussing, like one psychiatrist per lakh, something like that we have. So we are overburdened. We do not have the time to sit with every patient for like 1 hour, 2 hours. So a study was done and 1 year follow-up was done. So it was found that 1 year of antidepressant therapy is equivalent to 2 sessions of taking those magic mushrooms.
2 sessions?
Yeah, 2 sessions. So the mindset has to be that I have to go for healing, not like I have to going in a party and taking it. That can cause more harm. If you can resolve it in your mind, if it is like not overwhelming, it gets resolved in your mind and you're okay after a while. But if it is overwhelming for you, you can't resolve or handle it, it starts percolating that from that barrier to the body. So then you start getting some shoulder pain, some calf pain. Childhood sexual trauma is very common in males as well as females. But definitely more females have the courage to speak about it. Males do not have the courage to speak about it, a lot of them. They carry it, a lot of them, to the grave. A lot of my patients who come, so I see their family. The one who is being labeled as a patient, a lot of times they are the normal one. You see their family, they are the toxic ones. They have the toxic dynamics. All of them are toxic. So this is what is happening to the society at large also. We have accepted a lot of toxicity into our society and culture. So 70 to 80% people are like that. So the 30% people who are like more sensitive, they are more aware about a lot of things. A lot of times even more kind. I have seen a lot of kind and compassionate people suffering more. It should not be the case, but sadly it is.
What do patients normally come with when it comes to trauma? Because as someone who's going through this or is experiencing it or is probably unaware of it, you don't even know it is that. So where do you start? When they come to you, what do they come with? तो सागर क्या चल रहा है? फ्लाइट में कौन था आपके बगल में?
I was alone.
सनराइज देखा?
नहीं, सो रहा था. 4 बजे उठा कैसे देखूंगा?
6 बजे तो ऊपर ही थे ना तुम? तो सनराइज नहीं देखा?
सो गया था मैं. Full flight.
Last time at the airport, I asked that lady, ma'am, sunrise is this side or this side? She took a while and then she said, we're flying this side, ma'am. I said, you've given me seat this side. Can you move it this side? So she said, why? I said, ma'am, I want to see the sunrise. Then she gave me middle seat.
Okay.
I said, ma'am, window seat. She said, it's booked, ma'am, full flight. Then somehow in the last minute when I boarded the flight, she came running to me and she said, here's the window seat. Over, story. Finished. Hey, this won't work. You all have to lighten up. The crew is so stiff over here. It can't work like that.
Serious topic.
No, it can't be. We look at us. See,
I was going to make it serious. This story.
Oh, you were going to make it serious. What?
From what I have noticed like that kid aspect in you is very much, it comes out alive and it is very much there. It is playful.
Yes.
So it is a treat.
Yes.
Okay. But also when you were a kid, it tells me that when you were a kid, you maybe did not have that much freedom to be like a kid.
Yeah.
You had to take up responsibilities of an adult.
Yeah.
So that unfulfilled part, it lands up.
Fuck you, Sagar. I don't know. So you've been talking about responsibility, wahan pe bhi. I don't know if yes, it was hard. Yes, it was very difficult. But I don't know if I have understood responsibility and taken. In fact, I run away from responsibility. I actually avoid responsibility. So the only responsibility I take at home also is like they keep saying you come and breathe, and that's been how it is. But I take responsibility for my daughter.
Okay.
वहाँ पे I don't like compromise for my daughter or my husband or the home. But anywhere else, and my job, my work, I take full. बाकी सब
तो और है क्या?
अच्छा ऐसा है.
मेन तो यही है.
हाँ सही है. हाँ घर हाँ.
Something is there which wants you to take more responsibility then.
नहीं
Because
इतना ही नहीं कर पा रहे. यही तो it feels heavy after a point at some point. So बहुत deep से शुरू हुआ ये है ना. अच्छा, so we'll start.
topic is like that. It will go like that.
So I think one thing I learned when I was researching is that we make 35,000 decisions on autopilot in a day.
Okay.
Each one of us. 80% of this is autopilot, meaning हम सोचते नहीं हैं. अपना body and the brain and us accept the terms and conditions and these are terms and conditions that are not written by us. It's given to us by parents, society, culture. And so it's very important to at some point pause, step back, become aware of these terms and conditions, accept what you want to go with further, and then call out or name these patterns. Because when you name these patterns is when the tipping point really happens. At least for me, I found that to be very helpful. That's the genesis of this conversation. And so, Sagar, thank you so much for being here.
Most welcome.
Ready?
Good to be here. Yeah.
So you've been a psychiatrist practicing psychiatrist from Indore. I want to really start with what do patients normally come with when it comes to trauma? Because as someone who's going through this or is experiencing it or is probably unaware of it, you don't even know it is that.
Yeah.
So
correct.
where do you start? When they come to you, what do they come with?
Okay. So most commonly people come with symptoms of not feeling good, feeling sad, or feeling anxious. They're not able to do their day-to-day activities. A lot of them also come with disturbed sleep. They are not able to sleep. They have thoughts pacing their mind all night. So what is there, like a lot of people, we all go through these phases, right? But if it happens for a prolonged period of time and it affects your day-to-day functioning, like it is affecting your job, it is affecting your relationships, like you're not able to go out, so then generally people seek help. Also, one thing, as we were discussing, a lot of people come with just youngsters that I have loss of memory, I can't remember. So that itself is a sign of trauma. And when we go into clinical psychiatry, it is a sign of depression. It's called as pseudo-dementia. Because dementia occurs in the elderly, so this is called as pseudo-dementia. So they won't know they have depression, they won't know they have anxiety. They will come with, I have a fog, like a brain fog, or I can't remember things.
And is tiredness part of it?
Yeah, tiredness is a hallmark symptom of depression again. So I'm using these words, depression, anxiety, everything, but our topic is trauma. So trauma is the underlying cause of almost every psychiatric diagnosis. At the base of it will have to be some or the other kind of trauma.
What is trauma? Let's go after that.
Okay, sure. So I won't give you the textbook definition of trauma. I will give it to you from my understanding. From what I have understood, dealing with a lot of patients, talking in depth with them. So trauma, one can be what did not happen to you, which was meant to happen. Like for a child, they are supposed to get a lot of love, warmth, nourishment. For some reason or the other, maybe the mother had some mental issue, or an absent father. He was working, he was not there. So you did not get those qualities from your parents. So that itself can lead to trauma. It's not necessary some kind of abuse need to happen to you. So that is one spectrum of trauma. Things not happening to you, which you will see all other children around you. Okay, they are behaving in a different way, and somehow I feel the odd one out. So because something was not given to you, right? And then the other aspect of trauma is what we actually know, which might be some kind of physical abuse or sexual abuse or even emotional abuse. So let me put some emphasis on the emotional abuse because it happens unknowingly a lot of times. No parent from the goodness of their heart would want to emotionally abuse their child. What happens is, uh, even they were children, even our parents were children at once. So they did not receive a few things which they were supposed to get. They do not know I should get it. So they do not have it in them to give it back to you. So that will cause some kind of void in the child.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. So their cups are empty that way.
So normally when we say, oh, trauma because a sudden thing happened is one kind, but these are more like, it's gradual, it's repeated over a period of time, and it sort of registers itself. So it registers itself? It remains with you?
Trauma keeps on accumulating layer by layer in the body, in the mind. And it is a very slow process. It is, at times it is so slow. Most of the times it is so slow. People are not able to recognize it. It has happened to them. You ask them what has happened to you. They won't remember. They will be like, no, I'm okay. Nothing has happened. You have to probe deeper. Then they will as a matter of factly, they will state, oh, my mother died when I was a child. But that is okay. Because they are unaware what that has done to them. They're not aware. The first step is awareness.
Yeah. What are the various types of traumas in psychiatry?
In psychiatry per se, I will talk a bit more about trauma. So there are two people coming to me. One is having mild depression who has lost his or her mother. And the other one might be going through a breakup. So if we compare both of them, and he might have more depression than the person who has lost their mother. So that can make us think, what is this? This is nothing. How come so much disparity is there? So one is trauma is also based on the resilience of a person. A very small event occurring to a sensitive person may traumatize them. On the other hand, even a life-threatening or life-changing event to a person who is more emotionally regulated, that might not affect them that much. So there are no categories per se, but yeah, in the modern day lingo, as we were talking about, they discuss about CPTSD, so like complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and there is a normal PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So this I can even talk a bit from experience. Reading is another thing, and facing it yourself. Even listening is another thing.
Yeah.
If a patient says, you just register it logically.
Yeah.
It does not register emotionally.
Yeah.
So it was a few years ago in Bangalore itself, sadly in Bangalore. At times there are a few incidences of road rage and all that. Like people will randomly attack you. I was a student. So I got attacked by someone with a helmet. I was hit on the forehead. Out of the blue, like there were just some discussions going on and that happened. So, okay, there was a wound. It was traumatic. All that is all right. I know this.
Like you got hit on the
Yeah,
head
I got hit here. It was a swelling and I had a scar.
with the helmet.
Yeah, I still have a bit of a scar here. So why I am discussing it? Because I experienced what PTSD feels like. Not for long though. So what happened once was I was asleep and I suddenly got up. I felt like someone hit me on the head. And I almost had a recall of the event. So these are the symptoms of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. You recall the event, then you feel anxious, and then you feel almost stuck in that state. So your body got stuck in the past. Something so traumatizing happened to you, you were not able to process it. So your body is still stuck there because you just shoved it down. We don't know how to deal with all these things. Like if something happens to you, there are techniques, but hardly a few of them knows. People who go to therapist, only they know.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's like, okay, life has to go on.
Yeah.
So it happened. So we don't process a lot of things. So that is why.
I think for me, the first time I heard about the body remembers, I read this book, The Body Remembers, or I forget what it's called. It's something about
The body keeps a score.
Ha. And I'd gone out on a vacation with a few friends, and one of them was a psychiatrist. And he was talking about how shoulders reveal a lot. Like, and then I started observing wherever I was driving, these bike guys when they're riding, no? I observe their shoulders. कोई ऐसा बैठता है, कोई ऐसा बैठता है, कोई ऐसा बैठता है. You can see how the neck and the shoulder is placed. And a lot, apparently, I don't know, I'm not practicing anything. But then for me, I started observing more. Because the moment I started observing, I started realizing, ये तो हर जगह है. So is it that common?
What this can say is, from my understanding, generally they were talking about the posture. Shoulders, they represent the posture. So if anyone who has self-confidence issues, self-worth issues, you will find they have drooped shoulders and they will look like this. They will be a bit bent forward. And someone who is very confident will be straight. Again, on the other spectrum, someone who has self-worth issues, but they don't want to show it to the world. So they will be like this.
Yeah.
It will be like an exaggerated posture of confidence.
Yeah.
So it will be a show.
Yeah.
They are not confident.
Is it different for women? Because there's also this whole thing of intergenerational trauma.
Okay.
How is it? Is it just for women, or is it like even men? Or
it's for everyone. For everyone. So amazing. Intergenerational trauma is a whole topic on which we can shoot a separate podcast, but we will touch upon it. So some synchronicities led me to this thing of intergenerational trauma. So trauma can come at various levels. Psychiatry does not define trauma like this, to your question, but we can categorize trauma like this. One is what has happened to you in this life, whatever. One is which was handed down to you by your parents. So there are a lot of gifts, qualities, but again, a lot of trauma, a lot of patterns. They do it unknowingly. Also, it is on the genetic level. A lot of things are there. Diseases, everyone knows diseases, how we pass on. So that is that. And then there is one more thing, which is not very scientific as such, but there has been a lot of research done by Dr. Brian Weiss. He talks about that, Many Lives, Many Masters, about past life regression. So there are a lot of past life traumas also which you have carried, which definitely cannot be proven scientifically. So this is one way we can categorize trauma, what has happened to us here, what was given to us by parents, and what we have got from the previous lives, because we have been coming here. Then coming back to the intergenerational trauma, which is a lot of research is going upon it right now. So I had no idea about this. There is something called as a family constellation therapy. First I heard of it was some kind of role playing, this, that. So as a psychiatrist, my first reaction was, this is nonsense. Generally, if you come to a state, you study too much, things which do not appeal to your logical mind, you feel they are nonsense. Which is a big limitation for any doctor, I feel.
very true. Yeah.
So I heard about this family constellation therapy. So someone told me to watch a documentary on Netflix, which is Can I name documentaries? Yeah. Okay. Which is called Another Self. So it is based on the family constellation therapy. I saw that, okay, I had some insight that it was beautifully portrayed, that some things are there which are handed down from our ancestors. So at times, not even by our parents, they are handed down by some ancestor, which was not, who was not acknowledged or who was excluded as part of the therapy. So then I was like, okay, there is something to it. Then how I learn and how I trust things is when I experience them myself. Otherwise, I do not recommend them to anyone else. I have to do it myself and see. I don't believe in theories at all. So then I did some online sessions with a therapist. They were good. Yeah, they were good. They caused some shifts. I did not understand how, but there was a lot of shift. So I logically again I could not understand. Then I started reading about it. This was given by a German psychologist, Bert Hellinger. So he had given this whole concept. Earlier he used to do family counseling. Family counselings get like really messy at a lot of times. When they start shouting, they start fighting also. So you are not like a therapist, you are almost like a referee. This has happened to me a lot of times. You have to calm them down. But the family constellation therapy works on an energetic grid. It uses some like you can use the word quantum physics, quantum science. So there is a morphogenetic grid around us, and a lot of things in that morphogenetic grid or energy, which we call in the lay language. So a lot of things are there in it which we are not conscious about. So just before this podcast, I think last week, I had gone for a session of family constellation therapy, in-person offline session. So I used to think online sessions were amazing. Then I attended this, and it was so mind-blowing. What was happening, I was confused most of the times. Like, how is this happening? My logical mind could not comprehend it. So there is a therapist. I'm lucky I found a good therapist in that family constellation therapy. Her name is Rom Shri Ashish. She has that Awakening Love Academy. So why am I mentioning her is the important thing. There are a lot of therapists. So would you want to know the details of what happened? Because I felt like I was in Hogwarts. It was
like the real Hogwarts.
Yeah, what is this happening? I could not comprehend it. How is it happening? So the concept of it is one person goes with the problem to her and she keeps it as a blinding. She won't tell what the problem is. So it is based on role playing. One part is role playing. But there is almost an energy grid created in the center. People are sitting all around. So the person whose problem is there, he just goes and whispers it in her ear. She will tell him, you just go and decide like mentally. You don't tell the other person. He will play the role of my father. She will play the role of my mother. Mentally. And she just you have to just close your eyes and just give their role like with your thoughts. So initially I used to think it is acting. So how can a person act? How does and it is done randomly. So they don't know your problem. They don't know who they are playing. It is that kind of blinding.
It's all in your head and you're sitting there closed eyes.
Yeah. And the person whose problem is there, he's sitting with the therapist. And then the grid starts playing out. So I will first talk about as a role player, what I felt. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what role I have been given. So she will ask, like, seeing this person, how do you feel? I don't know that person. Initially, I was not feeling anything about them. But suddenly, when that grid comes alive, I will feel like I have some pain in my heart, or I feel angry on seeing them. So that was surprising, and I was feeling those emotions, and I was surprised, I was shocked most of the time what is happening.
You're in the grid? You're away from the grid?
I was in the grid.
Oh, you were
in the grid. Okay. I was playing a role. Someone's ancestor or someone's father, whatever it is. I did not know. Then, okay, that is happening. Then you're seeing it all around. Then she will keep a pillow in between. She will not say what it is. Does anyone want to pick it up? So that pillow, later on I got to know, was like a burden, karmic burden or something, which some ancestor had to deal, but they did not. So it got passed on. So she will ask you, does someone want to hold it? So I also went somehow, did this, and how does it feel? So at times it was feeling so heavy and like I don't want to. It was just a pillow. But I felt in some grids, I felt, no, I don't want this. In some grids, I felt it is mine because I was playing some ancestor in that thing. So it was not logical. All this thing was almost some kind of magic is going on.
So this is not on any kind of substance or
No,
anything.
good question. It was not. That is why I was more surprised.
So it's just regular, you just walk
Just
in there
normal.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
the energy
Yeah.
hub is created
Yes.
and you're in the energy zone feeling ancestors' leftover energy or
Yeah.
passed over energy. Wow. Wow.
So then she will do a resolution of that.
Huh.
That will be given to the ancestor which it belonged to. And then you will start, and then you will just go back home. And gradually you will start seeing shifts in your life with your parents, in your relationships.
Are we a very sick country?
I think you want to talk about the country as such. There are humanity is very sick at the point it is standing.
Yes, I think so. The reason I asked specifically about our country is for me, no, when I was working, see, my childhood was very different from many childhoods. And I think वो बोलते हैं ना किसी का childhood बहुत अच्छा होता है बाद में आता है उनका पूरा waves of struggles. किसी का पहले हो जाता है उसके बाद सब ठीक हो जाता है. So mine was the latter. Childhood was very hard. And then work and all was really, I was engrossed in work. So it's only later that I realized that the rest of the world also has issues. But India mein jo what we go through is very unique to us. Jaise at home itself, especially as girls, very young, we are told don't dress up like that, don't sit like that, don't talk so much, don't ask questions. And then when you go to work, you're expected to speak up, you're expected to say no, you're expected to ask questions.
Yeah.
It's such a mismatch of what you brought up with to what the world demands out there. And I feel this is just a very small example. It grows. Shadi kar loge, do alag alag ghar, the wife goes to someone's house and you don't know what you've carried from one, you don't know what they have experienced over there. Suddenly there's relationship. You might think it's same in the rest of the world, but the way we are brought up is very different. We are a country of survivors who are gradually going into that abundance mode.
Yes.
Survival has its own baggages.
Yes.
And we've not learned the art of letting go. So that's where I'm coming from. Is it a country where we are not familiar with our baggages? And so are we sick in that case?
Yeah, I think a lot of my patients who come, so I see their family. The one who is being labeled as a patient, a lot of times they are the normal one. You see their family, they are the toxic ones. They have the toxic dynamics. And all of them are toxic. So this is what is happening to the society at large also. We have accepted a lot of toxicity into our society and culture. So 70 to 80% people are like that. So the 30% people who are like more sensitive, they are more aware about a lot of things. A lot of times even more kind. I have seen a lot of kind and compassionate people suffering more.
Yeah.
It should not be the case, but sadly it is. So they are labeled as something abnormal. They are the normal ones. 30% I think have overstated. Maybe 15-20%. So society at large is toxic, and then they expect everyone to just roll with it. So as we were talking, I would like to touch upon that. In the morning, If someone has a physical illness, they have a cast in their hand or leg, everyone will come, they will sign, oh, you take care, you eat this, you do this. But if someone is suffering mentally and emotionally, uh, and they would want to speak about it, so it is said कि no, हमारे घर में नहीं होता ये. Because the society does not accept it. Mental illnesses are still looked as a taboo. Okay, are you mentally weak? So these kind of things happen, and they are expected to just keep on working, keep on role playing in their relationships, in their workplace, as if nothing has happened. So a mental illness or a mental breakdown is like a fracture of the mind, sort of, not per se, but we can give it an analogy like that. You need a proper space to recover, not be expected to carry on those roles, because it is like a fracture, it is worse than a hand or leg fracture. And then you need a very loving and understanding kind of environment, which sadly is not present most of the times.
How do you recognize toxic? Like for someone who's watching this, first of all, they won't even know that they are going through something.
Yeah.
So you talked about the symptoms that one walks in with, whether it's tiredness, sleeplessness,
Yeah.
fatigue, anxious.
Yeah.
These are
One of the very
forgetting,
few, yeah.
right? So I'm hoping this has caught one's attention already. And then how does one identify, am I in a toxic space? How do you find whether it's a toxic space?
Okay. So this again, we will start by talking with something which has been coming up since a few years, thanks to the West, I will say. You also would have heard narcissistic abuse.
These days, a lot of
Yeah,
videos
suddenly
and
it has
content.
just cropped up.
Yes.
It has been happening since God knows when, but awareness has come up. So there is a dynamic which is being played out a lot recently. I also don't know why. Narcissistic versus empaths. That dynamic, narcissist and an empath. So what we can do is we can replace the word empath with people pleaser also. Empath is a word given to feel more spiritually elated and all that. But at the root problem is that people pleaser one. So at one hand is the narcissist. Why then? If you look at it initially, you can just see it as a good versus evil thing. On the superficially, it appears because the people pleaser or the so-called empath is affected a lot. He goes through hell, and the narcissist makes them do whatever they want. They put a lot of pressure, decreases self-worth. But if you go to the core of it, so even the core belief with the narcissist is, I am not good enough. How do they tackle with it? I will be better than everyone. I will unconsciously, they try to pull others down so that they can't be above me. So I feel safe and I feel I'm good enough. I feel I'm worthy enough. Then the other hand, the person who's a people pleaser. So they would want to do things for others always, because there is something inside which says, I'm not worthy. Again, that lack of self-worth. I am not worthy enough. So if I do these things for them, if I love them deeply, they will love me back again. So that is the dynamic. Core issue is same. They play out in a different manner. And sadly, the narcissist is a more malignant force. So that is why they are labeled. Otherwise, they are also like broken little children. In a manner. They are more broken. That is why they don't feel. They are so close off. They don't feel empathy while doing something bad to someone, while pulling someone down. They are so shut off.
Yeah.
Once if their heart opens and they're made to feel, they will feel so much pain they haven't, whatever they have inflicted. And one more interesting thing I noticed in that family constellation therapy was, uh, there is that victim perpetrator thing. So one if given a role of a victim and one given the role of a perpetrator. So the perpetrator is the one playing the role of the perpetrator. They are more sad. They are really hurt, and they want forgiveness, because they, what if, no one is good or bad. First of all, this thing, even I had it while learning superficially. Then we go inside. So no one is good or bad. It is just awareness. Some people are not aware of what they are doing to others. If that awareness comes in, they will cry like little children. They will feel all of that pain.
Yeah. I had one guest, she's an actress. She's still pretty famous in Karnataka.
Okay.
She said she wants to talk about pain. At that time when I started the podcast, I was like, okay, TK, pain, what do I talk about? So I went and researched about pain. But then she brought out something. The day you're connected with the pain, a lot starts changing for you. And I thought that was pretty, at that time, it was just one statement.
Yeah.
But I think the profoundness of that gradually started sinking into my head. Can you talk a little bit about pain, both from the one who's a victim and the one who's a perpetrator?
Okay. So I will start by talking about pain by quoting Rumi. So he had a beautiful quote. Wound is where the light enters you. So pain serves that purpose. It always has. Even in a body, if you will see diabetics, they have diabetic neuropathy, they cannot feel pain. So they get wounds anyway, they won't realize it. So if pain is there somewhere, be it a psychological pain, be it a physical pain, your body is trying to communicate with you. Like, look at me. Why I am in pain? Something is happening here. I got a cut here and there is some trauma here. So physically it is easy to look. Physically, for all physical illnesses, it is much more easier. But mentally, if you feel like a burden, like some psychosomatic pain, which we call generally, it is a new branch of, again, an upcoming branch of psychiatry. So there is a mind-body barrier. What I've learned is from seeing a lot of patients of this psychosomatic pain and conversion disorder. So there is a filter kind of a thing between our mind and body. Again, it is not a physical barrier, but something is there. So if you are going through times of a lot of stress, trauma, if you can resolve it in your mind, if it is like not overwhelming, it gets resolved in your mind and you're okay after a while. But if it is overwhelming for you, you can't resolve or handle it, it starts percolating that from that barrier to the body. So then you start getting some shoulder pain, some calf pain. So in psychosomatic medicine, shoulder pain generally we feel generally is because of someone feeling a lot of responsibilities, like the burden of the world on their shoulders. Calf pain is due to anxiety about the future. And a lot of such vague associations have been there, which I don't think can be scientifically proven, at least not now, maybe somewhere down the line. So pain always comes with a purpose. It may not feel like it when you're going through it. It feels like hell, but pain is because of a purpose. You're going through something because of that. Even, for example, if we enter a relationship and something very painful starts happening to us in that relationship, be it a physically abusive partner, a mentally abusive partner, or emotionally distant, whatever it may be. So there are two ways of looking at it. One is again pointing fingers. It is easy. People do that mostly.
Yeah.
The other point is looking here. Why have I attracted such a partner? Something within me is there. And if you start looking inside and addressing that issue. As we were discussing, people get into a lot of toxic patterns of relationship, especially this narcissist empath thing. So a people pleaser will, till they have realized what is wrong with them, they will continuously start attracting one narcissist after the other. If one goes, you are not healed, you will again attract the same person, same kind of a person, because something is there inside which needs to be addressed, which hasn't been addressed. And this universal force, or whatever we might call it, divine, nature, God, whatever, it wants our growth. Till that, it acts like a strict teacher. So it will use the scale also at times on us. So this is what is happening to us. It is happening for us, not to us. If we have that perspective, like, okay, I'm not being punished for my sins or rewarded for my good karma. Just be here. Something is here. I need to work on it.
I think for me, 3 years back, I attended this workshop, Sagar.
Yeah.
I've told you. For those who don't know, how I met him is in one of these workshops itself. That's how I got connected with Sagar. I think this was, it's called The Art of Social Presencing. I forget the name, but I will add the link and all when we are editing. Just remind me. It's this lady from Japan who was teaching the whole concept of how to listen to your body.
Okay.
Now, I am not a great listener. I've come a long way, but I was never a great listener. तुम कुछ बोलना शुरू कर दोगे तो I will butt in with my story. I'm always excited and thrilled to tell you my story in it, right?
Yeah.
But then when I went to this, was the first time I realized you can listen to your body also. So to your point about pain, that pain is there somewhere. Somewhere in your body you're feeling stuck. And if you really internalize the art of listening, then you can listen to your body. And that requires a bit of breath work and calmness in your process. But in our life, when we are running like this, that's not possible, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that the main reason why we sort of live in it and be stuck in it for years? I've met people who are stuck in it for decades. I mean, I personally, I told you, for 25 years, I didn't even know. Yeah. Till at some point I felt, there's something not right here. So is that normal?
What happens is we work like at a lot of times like machines. We are not meant to be like machines. We are meant to be with nature, in nature. We are away from nature, away from our feelings, just for the grind. That, okay, I have to wake up, I have to do this, I have to do this. It's just a routine. It keeps on going. You don't even realize your whole life passes by like that. So for a lot of people, if they go, I've seen, they go for a retreat or something like that, 5 days, 7 days, where you don't have to do anything. That becomes so difficult, not doing anything, because you want to do something.
Yeah.
So then there is a part inside them which keeps on telling them you have to work for your worth. Otherwise, you're not good enough. A lot of people work like that. So once they have that space, we don't have that space in our societies. And it is not appreciated. Yeah. If someone takes a day off or like that, if someone has a boss, they won't appreciate it. Like, what is this? Gradually, at least in the Western societies, they have been giving them mental health days and all that. So at least it is being acknowledged now. So that is good.
Yeah. They're all smiling here.
So I take regular monthly mental day. Mental health day.
No, I've not taken days off. Like I used to work 14 hours. Like I became a workaholic. I found a lot of satisfaction with work.
Yeah.
And I was doing really good as well. Like, is that also part of your healing mechanism or like your distraction mechanism?
Escaping mechanism.
It is an escaping mechanism.
Yeah, it is an escape. So I would like to, I forgot mentioning him. If someone wants to look at trauma, they should definitely listen and read to more of Dr. Gabor Mate's work. He is the leading expert in trauma. You listen to him, it is a different perspective. So he is like that, what you talked about. He speaks that he grew up in the time when there was a Nazi war going on. So he's a Jew. So to prove his worth, he wanted to become a doctor, so that even if that invasion or something comes, back of the mind, it is always there. It can happen anytime. Anytime safety, security can be taken away from you. So if I'm a doctor, I can practice. It won't be taken away from me. And then after being a doctor, I have to provide for my family. Whatever things I suffered, they should not suffer. So he also became a workaholic. Funnily enough, I also remember most of my life being a workaholic. It's not only work. Being in the medical field, it's like you have to study, next exam, study, next exam. So most of my life it is a sort of a grind only. That this, if this happens, it will make me happy. There is a joke also कि for especially कि 12th पास कर लो फिर मजे ही मजे हैं. तो कहाँ है मजे?
घंटा है. तुम लोग मजा करें.
10th, 12th, college, शादी,
बच्चा.
मजा कहीं नहीं है.
सही है.
Because it is an unawareness with which we are living.
Yeah.
And to escape feeling, lot of us work. If we don't work, so in COVID I experienced that. Initially I used to feel कि कितना अच्छा होगा if I get a few rest days, I don't work. What is this nonsense? I've been working since years, again, same old routine, same old thing. In COVID there was a gap.
Nothing to do.
I was not needed much. There was not much work needed, especially from psychiatrists initially. Then the pandemic then that is a different thing. So I had few peaceful days. So in my few peaceful days, I started getting bored. Like, what is this? I want to work now. So that time I did not have that awareness. So even I did not want to feel. There are a lot of things inside which you don't want to feel. So working feels okay. I am working. I am doing a good thing. I am a good person. I am worthy. I am good enough.
कोविड ने सबकी पोल को खोल दी.
कोविड
हाँ तो बिकॉज वहाँ पे मेरा भी थोड़ा हिलना जुलना सब शुरू हुआ बिकॉज वी लॉस्ट अ बंच ऑफ colleagues of mine. I lost my dog, and I think all these started stirring things as to ho kya raha hai. Like it was like suddenly you're feeling very tired, don't feel like doing much. And all that. Tell me, what was kind of patterns of patients that were coming to you during that COVID and post that COVID phase? It kind of gives you an indicator of like really what went.
What is being suppressed, which was just had to come out.
Yeah.
So during COVID, a lot of the patients who could not make it, a lot of them were suffering from mental health issues. They were having a lot of anxiety. People nearby to them, like on the adjacent beds, were dying. So they were always feeling like I am next. So what I noticed is there were some people who did not have that severe a COVID and they could not make it. And there were some people who had severe COVID and they were making it. So because they were a lot more resilient and they did not have any underlying major issues like that. Anxiety in India, I feel people don't know about it a lot. They keep living with anxiety. And then when it just bursts, then they know, I am having anxiety. Other people don't feel like that. It is only me. So that was happening. Then OCD cases increased a lot, obsessive compulsive disorder. So everyone was like continuously washing their hands, using the sanitizer. Obviously that would not happen with everyone, but those who were having some latent tendencies from their childhood, some obsessive compulsive personality issues. So they got into those full blown effects. Then there was something labeled as a brain fog. Symptoms are similar of that of depression, but it was not diagnosed as depression. All the qualifying criteria were not met. And it was again same, like I can't remember things, I'm feeling dull, drowsy, and not feeling good about myself. So it was labeled under brain fog, and also due to COVID, there was a paper. COVID was affecting the brain supply. The blood supply to the brain in some manner. So because of that, it was happening. And one more thing, there were a lot of divorces during COVID period. A lot of it.
Shot up by some 37% or something.
Yes. So initially, I had read about it that it was happening in Japan and China. But then again, post sequelae of COVID is still happening. It is still being carried out. It was not then. It will last for 5-10 more years. So couples spending a lot of time with each other. Normally, if both are working, they will just spend like 2 hours with each other. And if you properly spend a day with someone in their presence, know all their quirks, which generally does not happen even in marriages. You don't know each other. You are just time cut drivers. So that got revealed in COVID a lot.
तेरी शादी हो चुकी थी तब तक? हाँ? तू वापस रिफ्लेक्शन कर रहा था? Were you reflecting as you're seeing the patients when you go back home? I've always been curious. How does a psychiatrist manage a balance of what he's seeing to when he or she goes back home?
Actually, I have been deep into spiritual and mindfulness practices since long. And that is why I took up psychiatry. But I was doing a lot of spiritual bypass. Now I know.
What is a spiritual bypass?
Spiritual bypass is a lot of, especially spiritual people who have been meditating. I can meditate for 2 hours. I can just sit with my spine erect. They do this. They don't want to feel. If an emotion comes, it will be like कि ये तो माया है. This is all nonsense. I don't want this. I want to merge with the divine. I was doing that since a lot of years. And it does not work like that. You can't escape like that. So there are two kinds of people. One are like only focusing all the time on their emotions, feelings. They have no awareness or mindfulness. The other, although smaller percentages, people who practice all these practices, mindfulness, awareness, they, not all of them obviously, if a lot of them treat it like these emotions and all are human. They should not be given that much importance. So only since a few years I started learning, there are so many issues inside me also. I did not know that. I was unaware. Even with my early practices and amazing spiritual experiences. So this is a kind of a spiritual bypass. I was spiritually bypassing my own emotions, feelings, what I feel inside. So only gradually I have been able to catch up with them, and it has been life-changing.
I want to deviate a little.
Yeah.
Because we talked about India as a culture, right?
Yeah.
Now, we are not a financially rich country.
Yes.
So I feel like money, the lack of it or the abundance of it, also has something to do with how we feel.
Yes.
Here's something I've learned, that you can have all the wealth, but if you feel poor inside, it's as good as all the things that you were talking about. Tell me a little bit about, because this could be something that a majority of us are going through. What happens? And also because I want to specifically talk about men in this case then, right? There's a responsibility and an assumed responsibility to kamane wala hai, ye karega, wo karega. And then there is the pressure of this. And then there's also only so much that will come your way.
Yeah.
It is a chicken and egg. It's a catch-22 you're stuck in.
Yeah.
And you're just stuck. Have you seen patients like this? What happens here?
So I have seen a lot of rich misers, lot of them. And I have seen a lot of people who don't have enough money, but they are generous, very generous. It is very common. For example, वो फीस में ही जो करोड़पति है वो बोलेगा फीस कम कर लो. And a person who is not that rich, he won't say, because he wants a value, he realizes it. I will reduce it. That is a different thing at times. So वहीं से ये समझ में आ गया था एक तो, from that thing. Now money and there are two extreme schools of thoughts in it. One is that, as you said, money has been linked since long with self-worth. And this is the association of a toxic society. This is the toxicity of the society, and it is everywhere. With money, though, it is everywhere. People feel, oh, he's rich, so as we were talking in the morning, they will just come and fall on their feet. They won't give them a single penny also. They feel, oh, he's the king, like he's very rich. Someday something he will do good to me. And on the other hand, some person who's kind to them and even is doing things for them, spending a bit money, whatever he has, a lot of people, they won't understand it. So it is surprising almost.
Yeah.
And people see you from not your worth, but they why this is because a lot of people's self-worth has been linked to money.
Yeah.
Because they have been through such horrible experiences as a child.
Yeah.
If they have been got up in places where there was not money, or they were they were like looked down upon at because they did not have enough money. So in their mind, they link money with my worth.
Yeah.
So if money is giving me worth, I have to earn money. I have to do everything, even if I die earning money. I will compromise my health. I will compromise my relationships. Everything. Because money is everything.
I have to tell you this. Growing up, I think it was not around. Money was not around. But I had relatives where they were pretty well off.
Yeah.
And I could see the difference in how your own family members or your relatives treat you.
Yeah.
Leave alone the rest of the society and all. And so growing up, it was always there in my head. Kabhi bina paise ke nahi rehna hai. So I've always been like, going after it. Till at some point you step back and say, how much is enough? And that probably is coming from another zone of privilege or something.
Yeah.
Many people can't get there.
Yeah.
But for someone who's going through financial hardships, it's a very difficult state to be in. Can you tell me, have you met anybody as a patient who's going through that?
Like if they have not had enough money and...
Yeah. And plus you're going through this trauma of something else, etc.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, your body is telling, dude, take rest. The other hand, money is telling, dude, come and work for me. And in India, though, 80% of us are middle class, or the finance minister has defined us differently itself now. So 80% of us must be going through some kind of money-related trauma itself, isn't it? So how do you deal with that? Have you met patients who've got a battle of both?
Even in COVID, so what happened, there were a lot of people who had taken up loans. Their businesses got shut down. So they had severe mental health problems because the loan sharks would come after them. They have to give money. So money, at the end of it, money, education, looks, even looks. A lot of people focus on looks. I have to look good, this, that.
Abs. Oh. How's it going, guys?
It's going good.
Huh?
Shit.
Is it okay?
Can we keep it where we were?
Yeah.
Loan. Looks. Loan.
But where did we stop? Do anyone remember?
Looks.
Money.
Money, then he came to looks.
So
money
do you
as a
remember the
tool.
sentence?
Yeah. Like you were asking, how is money linked with that?
We'll have to repeat from the start of the sentence. Okay.
So we were talking about money. So what money is, it is like a tool for your self-worth, which you have linked it with. Obviously it is needed, but if you link it with your self-worth, then how much self-worth is enough? There is no limit. Especially if there is a deficit, you will want more and more of it, because there is something missing inside which you want to fill. So you are indirectly, instead of working here, You're either using money, or someone is obsessed about their looks, or what kind of brands I have, this I have. So instead of addressing the self-worth issue inside, they are uh, trying to fill that void by that. Maybe a relationship also at times. Again, that narcissist empath thing, that if I give enough of love outside and if I get it back again, so I will feel I'm worthy of love. And surprisingly enough, it does not happen. So for all of these things, so there is they call it like a money blockage. So if I feel inside I am not worthy of money, so I will have to work hard for money. Somehow it won't flow easily for me because I have that core belief inside. So whatever core belief inside of me I have, somehow the universe will give it to me. Okay, you believe this, take this. So it works that ways.
I had this one guest who runs these workshops on mental models. So he had talked about something similar.
Okay.
Where while growing up, and let's say our parents, while doing homework or something, says, "Oh, you'll never get this math problem." And gradually you start telling that to yourself.
Yeah.
I'm bad in math. I'm not good in math. Eventually, you'll avoid all math because you don't need someone else to tell you. You yourself will tell that to yourself. And over a period of time, you sort of cement the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then to come out of that is a lot of unlearning, relearning
Yes.
in that process, right? To make it a new habit. You're saying the same thing with money then.
Yeah. Because it is said for the first 6 years of our life, we are almost in a state of a trance-like state, all children. So, like even as I'm a hypnotherapist, so at times you take the patient into a trance and then you give them suggestions. So the child is already in a state of trance till almost 6 years. So whatever they hear around them, about them, they just imbibe it. And that makes our personality. So it is just a set of programmings again and again.
6 years.
Yeah, but we are not even that aware till that age. That is, the child is like a sponge. It will just absorb everything, and it will imbibe it. They will imbibe it, and they will make it a part of their own self. A lot of it, 99% is programming from the society, teachers, parents. You are this, do this, this is good, this is bad. So that is why most of us are like
Wired this
we are. Yeah.
This whole thing, addiction, is that a way of sort of calming yourself?
Okay. So addiction is again kind of an escape mechanism to numb down pain. You don't want to feel pain. You do not want to feel those emotions. If there are hardcore addicts, I deal with hardcore addicts frequently.
Like what kind of addicts?
To start with, alcohol, cannabis, opioid, then also MDMA, methadone. Okay.
What is happening?
MDMA. One second.
हाँ, you good? और तू तेरा मुंडी इतना हिला क्यों रहा है?
मुंडी इधर है।
अच्छा, तो इधर क्या है? वो क्या है?
एक मिनट ऐसे बांधना।
बहुत हिला रहा है, कुरु 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 साउंड आ रहा है, तब से साउंड आ रहा है, और मैं इतना फोकस, लिसनिंग इज नॉट माय स्ट्रेंथ।
That's an issue, right?
तो एंग्शियस हो रहा है, तो बहुत एंग्शियस हो रहा है।
It has some reasoning.
Mannerism, it is a form of mannerism.
What is it?
It is a mannerism. Generally, people who have a bit of anxiety, they fidget.
So constantly have to like.
हाँ, वो fidget spinner भी इसीलिए है for
हाँ.
people who have anxiety. They keep on doing this so they feel calm.
So this is my energy is flowing. I can't resist only at times. When I have to do something.
Sit on the ground there.
Go.
मुंडी मत हिलाना.
घुटना है. पैर.
हाँ. Addictions. We were
Okay.
again talking about. Acha, where were we now?
MDMA.
हाँ.
Okay. Okay, the types of addiction are first and foremost, alcohol is very common, and opioids, cannabis, MDMA, ecstasy, methadone, fentanyl. Fentanyl is again an opioid, but it is used much more rampantly in the West. They like inject it, and there are a lot of deaths by overdose due to that. Especially in the West, it has started coming into India also. Slowly and gradually it is coming into India. So if you talk to a hardcore addict, I will try to define that personality. A lot of times you will see they have scars either on the face or forehead. They have cut marks on the hand. Not generalizing it, but maximum of them have it because they cut to soothe themselves even as children. They started learning that. It releases endorphins. So somehow the pain you feel inside is so much, you want to numb it down. So they start by that. And then they get into fights, antisocial kind of a behavior. So even the most hardcore criminal, if you will, you have to take him out, and addiction will be a part of it. A lot of the times they do the most heinous crimes when they are not in their senses. They are like in the drug totally. They don't realize anything. They are in control of the drug at that time. So addiction is a mechanism of not feeling, numbing things down. If you see the childhood histories, maximum times it will be like really bad. They were physically abused, sexually abused. Horrible stories you will hear. And they don't want to feel all that. So they start growing up. One of the other friend introduces you to a substance. Then you feel okay, I feel good. I don't feel that bad anymore. Then what happens is they start chasing the sense of feeling good because they're not feeling good inside. So for that, I will quote a rat. There is a rat park experiment which is very famous. So it was in that there were two separate forms. One was the rat would have to press a trigger or something, so they will get some substance. As far as I remember, it was cocaine. So they will get it. So what a rat would do is one side will be food, one side would be cocaine. So it would feel so good to them, they will again and again go for the cocaine. They will stop eating. A lot of the times they will almost starve themselves to death because of the substance. Then there was an experiment done. There were some 15 to 20 rats in a box. It was a rat park. And then same level for cocaine was there, but it was a park. There were a lot of people. So it was found like very few rats chose to go for the cocaine. Because of that social interaction and socializing, they would not go for the substance. They would be happy with that. So again, this same thing happens with addiction with people. They are ostracized and they are removed from the part of the society. They are not seen. So it does not help them. It causes more and more of the addiction. And what is wrong with if something is making you feel good, why not have it? What is wrong with it? The thing wrong with it is you start getting habituated to it. You start wanting more and more of the substance. After a while, it is not the drive that I have to feel good. After a while, it is like I don't want to feel that bad. Because as the substance and doses keep on increasing, they don't feel good with that. So it keeps on increasing and increasing. And a lot of times it gets life-threatening. Then they have diseases if like sharing needles, so HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. Then alcoholism is another issue. There is a lot of liver failure, hemoptysis as a symptom it can present, pancreatic damage that happens. So I have seen a few alcoholics coming up to me when it is all done. When they're going through, they won't listen to you. when they are almost on the deathbed, then they will cry, "You save me." So addiction is also a cry for help, always. But what the family and society does is it shuns them. Like, you're an addict, you're the worst kind of a person. They need that kind of help, support, healing, emotional support, and love. Yes, they do tend to get manipulative with time. Not easy people to deal with. Even I, when I was starting my practice, so a lot of patients will come and they will almost trick you. I will pay this later. I will do this later. They will create a narrative, sob story. So after a while, I understood that, okay, he has fooled me and gone. And he has done that to almost every doctor.
Yeah, I can see. So I told when we met, I was smoking. Right,
Yeah.
it's been a year now.
Yeah.
And I can relate with this. I think it was a lady called Jaya Iyer. One workshop I had gone on, non-violence communication.
Okay.
I think we should talk about that a bit. So one of the things that she did was, it's called the theater of the oppressed. So you have to freeze a scene and enact it, and the audience can walk in and change either the victim story or the perpetuator story. And so we were given the assignment of enacting eve teasing. So the guys who were part of it, they said, "ये तो regular छेड़छाड़ है, normal hai, it's just regular teasing." And so she called it out, saying, until you're able to recognize the pattern and call it by its name, you will never allow it to rule you, then take charge. And I think that was very powerful for me. For years, I used to say, "Oh, I just smoke very little." But then it started changing. The language started changing to, it's not years, it's for almost 7 to 8 years. What started off as just evening, night, when you go out sort of thing, to every break. And then to every conversation, everything started becoming like, you step outside and it's sort of an involuntary action. So once you recognize that, that's when change really starts. Otherwise, it's all kinds of things you'll start putting. Arey, I just smoked 4 hours back.
Yes.
No, half
Yes.
I did. It's such a thin cigarette. It's not like the big one. I'll come with 100 reasons of why, you should not bother me. But I think that's a big one. For someone who's going through it, I felt when you are able to call it out and name it, then a lot starts to change right there. Is that what you've seen as well? Or?
Yes, there is no awareness about themselves. And there are only... So after a while, the life starts evolving around the substance. It happens. It just happens. It is not something they wanted.
Yeah.
But it has happened now. And they are not in a state where they can just move out of it.
Yeah.
It has become a vicious circle. They're going in and in and in again in the substance. So the worst sort of it is like they will steal money. They will commit crimes. They want money for the substance. Also, the bad thing with opioids is, for all the substances, though, I would say no the first time, but especially for opioids, you can't just try it. You start having withdrawals, because opioids are generally secreted in your body as a natural painkiller. So if you take it from outside and then you are not getting enough of it, you start having cramps, pain, and all the withdrawal symptoms. So they have to have that substance. They are in physical pain and emotional pain. It is a very bad state. They will do anything for that. They might even kill someone to just not be in that state and have enough money to have that substance. So you become a zombie-like person with no volition of your own, no self-control of your own. I can only see the substance. How will I get the next substance? From where the money will come? That is all my life is. I don't care what my family, what is happening to them. So this, one of my friend, it is a bit of heavy story, but I would want to share it to so that the gravity of the thing is noticed. He has worked in de-addiction centers in Punjab, because the opioid addiction is very bad there. I would not take the name of the place or anything more than that. Just the state. Nothing against the state, but yeah, It is very rampant. Everyone knows about it. All the doctors, all the psychiatrists. So the state is so bad. He told me one of his clients, one of the patients, generally they come for opioid substitution therapy. I'm not getting opioid, so I want some medicine for that, so that I feel good. I don't feel that cravings and withdrawals. Generally, in India, buprenorphine is given for that with prescription, and it is a very restricted drug. It can land a person into trouble, even doctors, if not handled properly. So he was telling me the story that just for the substance, he would almost, he used to have like 100 acres of farm and all that. Because of the substance, everything went. Sold everything. He came almost on the road. But still, he had the substance. He wanted the substance. He would send his wife with someone else so that he earns money and she earns money and he can have enough for the substance. So I can't even imagine that what has gone on the wife. What is her trauma? It is unimaginable. If given a chance, she might want to kill the husband for what he has made her go through.
This begs me to bring the women part of it, what we researched.
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it? Women's part is like even more hard.
Yeah.
We were discussing it outside also. In sessions, 7 out of 10 women have some kind of an
Abuse.
incident or a few incidents of abuses.
Yeah.
And is it that bad in your experience? What have you seen with women?
Now we can talk about India per se. Though, yeah, the cases and all happen everywhere, but all the society structures, all the hierarchies have been patriarchal since long. Be it any religion, they have made it patriarchal. If we would actually go into the ancient sciences and all that, so it was not like that. Then someone had the power, authority, definitely some male had that. So he changed a lot of things. And he made the ruling as such as if women are subservient to males. They have to do this, they have to do that, they have to fulfill every duty, this, that. So this is a kind of a screwed up thing in the society, I would like to say, which has led to another kind of screw up. So let us talk about, instead of male and female, let us talk about the masculine and feminine. This is easier to talk, and this is the core issue. So all of us have masculine and feminine energies, all of us. You will see a few women who are more in their masculine. By masculine, I mean more on the provider aspect. They have to go out, get things done, earn money. Everyone has that. It is just a percentage. And the feminine aspect will be the more refined, the creative aspect, arts, poetry, healing. All this is feminine. So, obviously, with the masculine comes defending. So, defending someone or defending a family. With that comes power and authority also. So a lot of that has been misused. The power and authority which was given to the males for protection, so that was misused for domination. That is when things went south. So now what is happening is, this is something interesting I would like to share. Have you heard about channeling, channelers? It goes a bit out of the scientific domain. Okay. So there is something called as channeling. I don't know how many are genuine in that, but luckily I have met only genuine people in that. So they would go into some altered states of consciousness and some information will be coming to them. They call it downloads. So I had one in, I think, November or December. So this was foretold that there is a lot of shuffling of masculine and feminine energies happening all over the world. That is why suddenly that Me Too movement started coming up. And so what was particularly told to me was that in all the males, their feminine energy is being activated. Feminine energy is feeling more. Otherwise, the male in his masculine will be like on the run, on the grind. They would not feel anything. And with their creative aspect, males have a very good nurturing and creative aspect also. But because of the society have put them in a place like you have to be a male, you have to do this, you have to do that, girls do this, girls do that. So because of that, most of them have been brought up in that mindset only. Ki feeling is, I can't feel, I can't cry. Till recently I started doing this work, I could not cry myself, not even a single tear. Then once that happened, I realized how much I was holding on. And this has been happening with a lot of males. So a lot of them, they are wounded. So they act like wounded animals, pouncing upon others. So that is how the cycle of trauma goes on. If I am traumatized, I will traumatize others instead of focusing here and working on myself. So I can do it to my children, to my spouse, or if I am like in a very bad state, I might do it to anyone else walking on the road. So that is why these molestations and all that have happened with people, especially with females. And the other aspect was they said we were dominating the masculine energies of the feminine, of the females who are in the female body. So learning to say no, asserting tough boundaries, not tolerating bullshit and calling it as okay. Like you said, Eve teasing is okay. It is such a pathetic thing, really pathetic. I think that all the pain trauma comes due to unawareness. A person who has done that, if he were to be given that awareness of what his act has done to the other person, and this I have seen also, it brings so much shame and guilt. A lot of rapists and all, they commit suicide in the jail. Why would one do that if they were such a horrible person? They start getting some inkling of what they have done to the other person in their unawareness, in their drunken state, or in whatever kind of drugs they were in. So we have labeled as a society addiction equivalent to almost criminals. Yes, there is a link, and the more society promotes it, the link starts getting more stronger and stronger. So anyone is an addict. Like once if someone goes to jail, they start learning more things and they become a hard criminal kind of a thing. So addiction is a disease which has to be treated. It is not something which can be punished, and it does not work like that. If someone is already in so much pain, if you punish them, what will they feel? They will push that down also. They will have more addictions.
Do you get a lot of women patients?
In addictions?
No, just trauma.
A lot of them.
What are normally things they've gone through?
Childhood sexual trauma is very common in males as well as females. But definitely more females have the courage to speak about it. Males do not have the courage to speak about it, a lot of them. They carry it, a lot of them, to the grave.
Wow. Wow.
Because in a recent workshop, they were discussing things like that. There were a few people who came out. It was such a painful experience, but they were talking about it like very normally because they were given the space to talk first of all. The female side, obviously we were not allowed, but I heard a lot of shouting, swearing, all that. But here they were just stating it. Okay, this happened to me when I was 2 years old.
2 years old?
Yeah. 2 years, 3 years. This relative was there. He did something to me. They never got an opportunity to speak up. It was their first time they got a space. So we need also more such healing places, circles, A lot of time people we consider friends. If we have friends of that awareness and we start developing our own awareness, then I can say that can be a good friendly circle. Otherwise, it is just party, have fun, not nothing substantial. It is all very superficial.
Yeah.
So all of us need such circles in our life where we can just go and express.
This, again, one more of this class I attended on group dynamics. You talked about coping systems earlier and support systems, and
Yeah.
you're now talking about safe spaces.
Yeah.
Um, First, I had understood how group dynamics work. So there's a lot of psychology in that as well, right? Like
Yeah.
one would be it's not a majoritarian model. It's a small set that sort of manages the dynamics of a friend circle or
Yeah.
an organization or a team. If and everybody else just follows because that's the psychology of the rest. Can you talk a bit about the group dynamics and the politics of it? How does that really work? And I want to gradually bring it to understanding what is safe space and how does one create a coping system or a support system
Okay.
for someone who's going through this.
First of all, anywhere humans will be, 4 to 5, there will be some or the other politics, because all of them have their own agendas. I think everyone is dealing with some issue or the other. So they would want to take it up in, not directly by dealing with it, but by indirectly working it with it in some modified manner. Like again, it all comes to, if I'm very confident with my skills, I wouldn't care what the other person is doing. If they are doing better than me, I will be happy for them. But if somewhere I have that anxiety or insecurity that they might get ahead of me, something might happen, I will try to bring them down. And that is what is generally happening. No one wants to harm anyone or anything like that. They just want that, okay, I am better than the other person, so I should get a raise, I should get a promotion. So it is like a rat race. So instead of a society, we are uh, our society is built of rats, not humans. Just have to keep running on the wheel. Just keep running. If another rat comes, you push him away. Otherwise, you will not get food. So also because of that insecurity, and there has not been, as you mentioned, that India has been plundered multiple times. We were having so much wealth, but compared to that, there are no jobs. There is not that much money. So everyone is insecure about their position. So by hook or by crook, they want to be at that place and they want to excel. The easiest way, the best way for that is you keep developing your own skills and you keep progressing. Easiest way is, I will be where I am. I will push the other person down. I don't have to do much work. To work on myself is a big task, not easy. Not everyone can do it, but that anyone can do. You just go gossip here, go pull someone like there. That is what generally happens in every space. A safe space generally, even that was a new concept to me, because I have also always been seeing that. That happens everywhere. It is not like, even in medical colleges that can happen. Like a group of people, they will
Cool
have
kids.
yeah, and they will have some other thing. So the society is like that at large. Even if you get people who are the most educated or who are the most uneducated, the dynamics work one way or the other. So by a safe space, I mean people who are willing to work on themselves, who are aware of their own issues. Once you know what issues you have, then it is easier for you to accept the issues the other person have instead of judging them. So it becomes almost a non-judgmental space. So things automatically happen. A lot of efforts do not have to be put, because everyone wants to get better. And uh, that collective energy, when all of us wants to get better, so it gets amplified. So that is kind of the safe space I'm talking about.
What does a safe space feel like? So, for someone who was not familiar with it and now you got exposed to it, what does it feel like? So that, one understands, whoever is watching this, one understands In the name of safe space, sometimes you're not safe.
Yes, yes.
And that's the
Yes.
worst thing that can happen to you.
Yeah.
So one really understands what is safe space and really is able to call that out and appreciate it.
First, you have to be physically safe, because a lot of times, especially, people even go to religious gatherings for safe spaces because they feel, okay, I'm going to some kind of a divine thing. So everyone else who is coming there must be having the same mindset. They all should be good people. But sadly, that does not happen. So that is why a lot of abuses happen with faith healers and all that. I've seen it a lot, especially with females. Horrible. They will just let them stay, and they will, especially with psychiatric patients. The sad part of our society is, at least in educated circles, it is not that much. They are getting more aware about mental illnesses. Otherwise, if something like a psychotic episode will happen when they start hearing voices, so patient will feel something has been done to me, some kind of black magic or things like that. In villages, 80% or 90% of them will go to a faith healer. Only then they will come to a psychiatrist afterwards, when they see that there has not been many changes. There are good faith healers also. I can't just label all of them as bad, but a few of cases I have heard, they will let the female patient stay with them and say, tell the relatives, you go away, and then they will give them something, they will drug them, and then they will abuse them. A lot of times the females don't even remember. They will only remember, I was with him, he gave me something to eat, and I remember waking up the next day. But the body knows, the mind knows, there is an awareness which is always there, that knows. So as you mentioned, yeah, a lot of times safe spaces are not safe. So even a lot of retreats are there, healing retreats, like especially tantra workshops and all that. This you might have heard, that in that Osho commune, that meditation happens when no one is wearing anything. So the idea of that is like very much being comfortable with your own body and with another's body, as if it is a very normal thing. Because the more uh, restrictions are there, the more the mind gets perverted. So that was the basic of it. If you will read somewhere on Reddit or anywhere else, so a lot of males, especially, they will just go that, oh, something will happen, something like that. So it is a very messed up mentality, because again, it is a very sexually restricted society also. So it is very much shamed and shunned. And we are the most populated country in the world. So we are not getting due to Ashirwad from Babas. They're all having sex. People also should have more information about it, more knowledge about it. So that is what is missing again. So coming back again, so the safe spaces where one is physically, there is no harm, especially for females. Then there is no judgment, because a lot of times, even in therapy sessions, people reveal their deepest, darkest secrets. If you are in a judgmental frame of mind, you will feel, oh, such a horrible human being. At times, you don't have to say that. They will understand with their body language and all. Sharing that thing with you is a very vulnerable thing for them. So that if that space is not there, you feel even more hurt sharing. You will feel it was better I did not share. So that non-judgmental kind of space has to be there. Yeah, facilitator should be good for that. Definitely you need a facilitator, because multiple kinds of people come and they all have their own issues. Someone wants to overshare and take all the space, someone does not want to share. So that equality has to be maintained. So things like that. It is not easy.
घर पे कैसे बनाओगे safe space?
घर पे safe space बनाना, some of us have been lucky enough, but some of us aren't. It all goes back to awareness. So even our parents, they feel a lot of times ki I'm the parent, I'm right. You're the child, you have to listen. As and as they get more awareness, see, if we as parents, we have done work on ourselves. So we are more aware at times. We even listen to our children. what they want, what they're speaking, at times even learn from them. So that is how it should be. It should be a mutual thing. We have to teach them and we have to learn from them also. Not easy, again, especially in the Indian society, because it always has been like whatever your parents say, you have to follow them. Some of them really have given good advices, and a lot of things are good also. I'm not saying that. But at least 15 to 20% of their beliefs and thought patterns are outdated.
Yeah.
They have to be. Because even the way society is going, I feel my thought patterns outdated every year after every year. If I talk with someone very young, they also have a lot of nonsense also. I'm not saying all the new generation is bringing all the good things. No, it is not like that.
You can see them here. But they don't find it funny. You didn't find that funny, yeah? Oh. Found it offensive.
I'm worried about your stand-up now.
Shut up. Yeah.
So what the Gen Z, what patients all come to me, what they are doing, a lot of it is good also. They are not conforming to the old outdated norms of the society, but they want to get rid of even the things which are working. Like everything, just burn it all to the ground. Some of them have that kind of mentality. So that also as a society does not work. That is the society which we have copied from the West. So they are just taking things from the West. That is what is happening according to me.
I've seen, I actually liked, not that I'm doing a massage over what just happened. I feel the Gen Zs are more connected with their identity or the individuality. वो basic जो questions होते हैं, who am I? What am I in this universe? I feel they're more connected with those and themselves. But where I feel they struggle with is also us, right? The rest of the generations, we are still figuring out the identity and the individuality part. The millennials are still stuck in the rat race about proving themselves, self-worth, and just settling down. My generation is slowly settling down, but it's sandwiched. You have aging parents and you have children and your own needs. So we've not come back to the identity part yet. The identity in the older generation used to happen in the 60s more. Right? When everything is done, retired, now I'm going to figure out an actualization happens. And I feel this is where Gen Z is really cool in figuring out the identity, but it's also very confusing.
Yes.
And there is no reference to go back to and have these kind of conversations. So it is what you get fed with. And these days, fed is knowledge and information is in such abundance, then it's up to you to see what you will take in. And that's why I feel it's very confusing. I don't know. This is my theory. What do you all think? You?
It's confusing.
It is confusing, right? Right? Yeah, I find the younger ones, like my daughter's generation, it's a lot more better, I would say, and also confusing. It's further confusing. So in the identity, individuality side, they have a lot more clarity, but it's also, the feed is coming from universal sources. And so it's confusing as well. Because what you're seeing around you is very different from the feeds that you're getting to who you're seeing yourself as. It's a very confusing state. So I feel there is no right and wrong, but I feel you go from a space of non-judgment, then you can create a safe space. I find these jokes in WhatsApp groups and all very annoying. Wife jokes, teenage jokes, boyfriend jokes, or like girlfriend jokes. Girls need money. You know, it's so annoying that you're generalizing, like all husbands are like amazing, or right. Or all boys are just amazing, or like, you know, for the audience, my producer just said fact. But this is where I feel, and we are also in a phase where See, when you and I were growing up, Sagar, you had books,
Yeah, correct.
right? We used to go to libraries, or someone who's well read and well educated, or someone who's grounded in some of these.
Or playing outside.
Right? One of these. Whereas now we are flooded with knowledge
Yes.
and information. And the scroll mindset, everything is working so that you stay hooked on. We build it like I come from the technology space. There's nothing we build without understanding the psychology of attracting. Consumerism is all about that.
Yeah.
So we are just doomed. There's no escape from that unless you have a safe space, unless you become aware and accept, and then go through the inward journey and see where's the rat race you're getting stuck with. And so you two are going to become rich, my brother. Career is like full lifetime career, isn't it? Psychiatry? Or am I just reading too much into it?
No, it is. It is.
Huh?
And the mental health issues have started increasing day by day. Addictions have started increasing day by day.
So boundaries is another one, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. Sometimes we put our own boundaries, isn't it? इतना बड़ा fence, मैं तो वही करती थी बहुत सालों पहले. It's so big, my wall. Dude, you'll think 15 times before you come close to me. Like, I'm not approachable. I think even today I hear, कभी कभी डरते हैं हम आपसे बात करने के लिए. But once you talk to me, you started the whole psychiatry session with that, right? So boundaries are a big deal, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah. So for understanding boundaries, we will have to talk about anger.
Ha. Yes.
So even growing up, I dealt a lot with anger. I could not understand how to channelize it, what it was about. Either it would be suppression, or if it would get repeated, it would go into rage. Extremes.
Yes.
So later on, when I researched about it, I came to know both of them are unhealthy. But generally what we see is our fathers in a rage mode and mothers in a suppression mode. So that is what we learn. It is very rare to see someone who has a healthy anger. Very rare. You have to have worked a lot on yourself for that. So a healthy anger is what? Stay away from me. Don't come in my boundary. So boundary comes from there. So if we use anger as a tool properly, a healthy anger, we do not suppress it, because rage comes from suppression only. You suppress, and then you burst. So then from 1 meter you go to the other extreme. So if with mindfulness practices, and we are taught about it, what is anger? It is energy basically, and it is very important for survival also. Generally you only get angry if someone gets into our boundaries, be it physical boundary or mental or emotional boundary also. So that is a fence we have to keep around us. Again, if that is a healthy boundary, so then we know when to let people in and when to block people. That itself takes a lifetime of learning. Some people have a wall, they don't have a boundary. So it gets very difficult for people to come in and for them to go out of it. And some people have like a picket fence kind of a thing. Just ki choi, anyone wants, you can just break the boundary and come in, play out with your life and go out.
Yeah. दोनों types है यहाँ पे. No, I've been the full wall. It's just wall. बहुत difficult था till I really worked on it. I think it's very important to step back and see where all you've put boundaries. But that's a self-work. That's a journey.
Deep, yeah.
Right? That's a lot of hard work to recognize, यहाँ पे boundary डाला है. क्यों डाला है? अच्छा, अब is it relevant anymore?
Or someone is there inside your boundary.
हाँ.
Your boundary is there, वो तो वहीं रह गई. That person is again and again coming in. And you're not able to tell them no.
Yeah.
Because of a deep sense of abandonment also.
Yeah.
You are allowing that person to come into your boundary so that they don't abandon you.
Yeah.
If you feel if you put firm boundaries, they will leave you. Okay.
Yeah, I think does something happen in your 40s to your body? कुछ तो हो जाता है, पूरा स्विच अलग सा हो जाता है. कुछ होता है क्या?
For males and females, it is different. For a lot of females, especially now, that earlier that period was 45 to 50, perimenopausal age group, which we call. Now that has reduced to the 40s because of our excessive exposure to artificial light, not enough exposure to sunlight, excessive dyes and chemicals in the food, and so our hormonal system goes haywire, and females are more fine tuned in the hormonal system, so it goes more haywire for them. For males it is still okay, manageable. So that is what happens. With it comes a gamut of symptoms like body, like hot flushes and things like that. So that is there. But if that is not there and something has changed after 40, that is a maturation kind of a process. Gradually you see like, okay, 40 years is for someone who has worked enough on themselves, who are aware enough. By 40 they realize a lot of things, like I have been a fool through my life. Then that realization again comes at 60, again at your death. But you just have to keep on working, keep on going. It's okay.
How long has it been?
2.
2 hours.
Yeah.
We still haven't covered half.
Okay.
Go. You want to take a break? पानी पियोगे?
पानी पी लेते हैं बस.
बाहर का कुछ गर्म हवा लेने.
ब्रेक लेना है?
ब्रेक ले लेते हैं.
अच्छा. Asking help in all of this is hard, no? Why is it hard?
First is you don't know where to ask help. Lot of the times you go ask help from your friends who themselves don't know how to get out from their own situations. How will they help you? Then finding the right therapist, as we were discussing about. So I have seen a lot of times so-called very famous, popular kind of people and therapists, and I have taken personal feedbacks from patients. It's not necessary if a person is very famous and popular, they have thousands of reviews on their Google and 5-star rating, they will work out for you. It will work out for you. It is not necessary. So there has to be some kind of a sync between you and the therapist. Here we can talk about, obviously there is no way of knowing it, but we were talking about wounded healers. So people who have been through rough times themselves, they have worked on themselves, they will be definitely, they are better equipped to help out others than the one who has just done a course, a degree. They just have a degree. They can't empathize with that other person because they have never been in even a marginal of that problem of what the other person is facing. So those generally can be the best kind of therapist. How to find them is a journey in itself, because what we do generally, we go to Google reviews, we will read how others have dropped ratings. A lot of the times the Google reviews are fake. A lot of the so-called most popular psychiatrists, most popular psychologists, they are spending a lot on marketing. So only because of that they are having that. Will it work for you? It may or it may not. You may never know. So it is best to, definitely you have to go try. Only then you will know. Go have a session with someone. And if I have seen generally, if a friend recommends or someone who has been dealing with issues like you, if you have friends like that, someone has helped them out from somewhere, definitely you should go try how that works for you. Generally I have seen it to be working. Yeah, I think that is it.
I found it very hard to find a psychologist. हजार है कुछ. First of all, I think we need to understand the difference between psychologist, clinical psychologist, psychiatrist.
Okay.
Can you explain the difference?
Yeah. So a lot of time there is a lot of confusion in these things. Psychiatrists are medical doctors. They do a MBBS, then they do a MD, and there is an MD in psychiatry. They treat with medications. They also do counseling and therapies, but the mainstay of treatment we have been taught is medications. Then a psychologist is someone who has done MA and BA in psychology. So they haven't actually dealt with patients per se. It is at a lot of times you find them as career counselors and counselors in school. They deal with general human psychology. They have a general understanding of it. Clinical psychology you have to do a PhD in, and there you have to work with patients. What their issue is. A psychologist and a clinical psychologist cannot prescribe medications. So that is the thing. Because a lot of time what happens is, so I will point out both a psychiatrist and psychologist, especially a clinical psychologist. A psychologist may have their own thing, but patient wise we never send our patients to psychologists because they are not equipped to handle them basically. If a person is having a lot of symptoms, severe, if they are suicidal, if they are homicidal, if they are having hallucinations and delusions where they might harm themselves or someone else, even those patients at times the families bring to clinical psychologist कि आप therapy करो इसकी. They are not you can't do therapy for them, and it is very risky first of all. Also on the other spectrum, at times there are very minor cases कि okay 4 दिन से अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, I'm not feeling good. They will land up with a psychiatrist who will start medications for them. That is also okay. If you start medications for some time and then you taper it, 5 years, 10 years, you're on medications. So that is again the bad part of both of which happens at a lot of times. Ideally, a psychiatrist, if they feel like even after putting a lot of my patients on medications, I send them for therapy. Because it is a holistic kind of a thing. Both complement each other. But in the cutthroat market, which is even everything can be a market. I should not say it, but it is. Yeah. So if a patient goes to a psychologist, they would not want to send them to a psychiatrist, even if when they feel the patient is suicidal. So a few patients have come to me, and which is like, it makes me really angry. You are playing with lives there. Also on the other hand, a psychiatrist, so for that we will talk a bit about psychiatric medications. There are a lot of myths on that also. The biggest myth is lifelong you have to be on medications. There are a lot of side effects. There are a few side effects, I can't deny. Every pharmacological agent has some of the other side effects, but they are life-saving. They will definitely have seen a lot of times, a lot of suicidal patients when been on medications, it has saved their lives. The people who haven't, some of them have committed suicides. They haven't taken the medications. So they're not there. So one is life-saving. And the other thing is, if someone is deep down into deep despair, a lot of anxiety, stress, they cannot start doing the therapy work. They are not in a place to feel all their emotions and work with a therapist. They are drowning. So what the medicine does it, from the drowning, they will get them to a platform where they can start working. So medication in a lot of settings, because we do not have a lot of psychiatrists, as we were discussing, like 1 psychiatrist per lakh, something like that we have. So we are overburdened. We do not have the time to sit with every patient for like 1 hour, 2 hours. If we start doing that and we start charging for that, so there are a lot of people won't be able to afford mental health. Affordability is a big issue. So that is definitely not possible. So medicine is the start of treatment. Once you start the patient on medications, when they start feeling better, then you focus on their lifestyle, what lifestyle they're having. Are they doing any meditation or any awareness exercises? Physical exercises. This is a must and this is a basic. Then you feel more work has to be done, then you send them to a therapist. So it is a combined effort of a psychiatrist and a psychologist. And there are a lot of good psychologists too, which when they understand that the patient needs medication, they will send them to a psychiatrist. But sadly enough, the percentage is low of both populations.
Yeah. And I found it to be a permutation combination of sorts. It's expensive also, no, Sagar? It's anywhere from, at least in the city, and most of them are virtual as well nowadays. But it is anywhere from 1,500 to 12,500, or probably more as well.
Yes.
It's not an affordable treatment process.
Yes.
Right? For an hour to be paying something like this.
A lot of testing and all that comes, so there are a lot of charges are put for that.
You know, when I used to work on printers, it's a very bad analogy, but when we used to work on printers, when the printer goes bad or rogue or faulty, like a fuser is not working, the engine is gone, or paper jam has happened, etc.
Okay.
And support for it is more expensive.
Yes.
Because troubleshooting or restart of the full machine restart is a very expensive thing. So what we normally do then is we try to see how to give as much as possible self-help tools. So you can diagnose yourself.
Perfect. Not a bad analogy at all. It is a very good analogy.
Oh, very rarely do I come up with something like that. But so we don't have such tools here, do we? We do have some quizzes and all that keeps popping up. I don't know if it's just for me or others also, but then it does some IQ test and some test and this test and that test. But that's different from what we are talking about.
Yeah.
We don't have something like that, do we?
What I try to do them is give them exactly that in the shortest amount of time possible. So whatever I recommend, I will just share it here. So the meditation I recommend to them is, a lot of times a lot of patients are not able to do it. There is a Isha Kriya by Sadhguru. So do I have a affiliation for him? Although I respect and everything, but Harvard Medical College has done studies on it. Isha Kriya and inner engineering. So they have done the study on doctors in the doctors working in the emergency department. So it has been found that the people who are practicing it, they were having lesser anxiety and depression scores in the rating scales. So it is very easy and freely available. There are so many tools. A lot of them might be much more better than that. But this I have made a standard. I can just give it out. And I've seen working it for a lot of people. The next thing is, if the person says, I can't close my eyes, because that becomes a big issue. If I close my eyes, I remember things and a lot of thoughts come. So then we can go for breath work. So I'm talking about the demo version of everything first, so that it can be freely available for everyone. Cost is not involved. So there is a person known as Wim Hof. He has done extensively well on breathing and all. Wim Hof breath work. Cold exposure one. Same one. So he has a 11-minute video on breath work.
Okay.
So you just open your eyes and you start doing breath work every day. Then the more basic thing is, which I do in hypnotherapy. If I have some hypnotherapy sessions, something which is called as breathing awareness. So it is just placing your awareness on your stomach movements. Like when you breathe in.
Sorry.
It's okay. So basically you just bring your awareness on that, and gradually you have to give yourself command that when you exhale, your body has to relax. So there are small tools, many tools like that are available. 2 of them which are freely available, obviously I've shared. Then if you want to go a step further, there is something called as holotropic breath work.
Where we met. Yes.
Yeah. So I am training in it, holotropic breathwork. By the way, I also started training in the family constellation therapy. I'm trying to do as many alternate modalities as I can, at least so that I can understand what is happening. I may not have the time to do it myself. I may refer eventually, but I should know how it works and whether it is powerful, whether it will be that beneficial for the patient. वो cost का वो मिलना चाहिए ना उसको जितना लगा रहा है.
सही है.
That amount of healing should happen.
That's what I found when so I started attitude makeover as a change process. But then as I started running my workshops, I noticed people are stuck. People can be stuck in a state, whether it is relationship, bad career choices, health, lifestyle, addiction. Entrepreneurship is also hard. So the journey of all of this, you can be stuck in this. Sometimes your stuck state could be 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And in that period, the cycles you're going through is repeated. Whether it's the same frequency and all that stuff is different.
Yeah.
But you're going through that period of stuck state, which is very hard. And I felt, why is it so hard? And that's when I started understanding there are alternates. And that's where I started understanding there is, so when you talk holistic, let me see if I've understood that.
Yeah.
There is the mind, there is the body, there is a social you, and there is an inner you. No one talks to us about these four.
Yeah.
But when you talk holistic, it's all of these.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about these four aspects and how they come together and how these alternates come to help you in that.
Modalities. Okay. First of all is, I'm derailing a bit here, but if you would have ever heard of Raman Maharshi, his main teaching was, who am I? You inquire, who are you? So initially I thought, what is this? Who am I? I know who I am. This is my name. This is what I like. This is what I do not like. Gradually, once you start working on yourself, you feel like there are layers to you. The layers which are not you, which are societal conditioning, parental conditioning. Who I am, who you are, somewhere down in the core. Here I would like to explain more with the help of internal family systems. I again got introduced to it a few months back, I suppose, and it was a really mind-blowing concept. These things have nothing to do with the conventional therapy. Conventional therapy is CBT. For 5 years you keep doing it, try to pick out things, very slow. I did not like it. So I was wanting to go for the things which work the fastest and the who work in the most intense way. So in the end, somewhere I have a plan down the line that 5 to 7 days, okay.
This doesn't happen always, okay? This is our first time. No?
Yeah.
What is this?
I hope you
Okay, so I was saying that I started doing all this work, going into different modalities. I did not go with the intent of healing myself or doing something because I did not know I had something wrong with me.
Yeah.
There was not so much awareness.
Yeah.
When you start doing the work, then you feel ki, oh, so much is there, you yourself did not know.
Yeah.
I went to learn
because
I wanted a holistic kind of a thing where I am I have learned like 3-4 modalities which are like hard hitting. You just do them and maximum amount of healing takes place in the most minimum amount of time.
Yeah.
That is what my goal still is. It is slowly coming about. Let's see. So one thing I want to discuss about is internal family systems. I found an amazing concept in it that it is indirectly linked with spirituality. They don't talk about spirituality much, but when I read it, it is the same concept, but explained in a scientific manner. So what they say is that there is an inner self. Even in spirituality, there is an inner self. What happens is, due to all those traumas we face as a child or whatever situation we are in, some parts of us develop. So there is a part everyone has, that is an inner critic. There is a protector part. So like that, various parts are there inside. So why does this happen is because when you were a child and that experience happened to you, that part was necessary for your survival. And that part felt like the self is not good enough to take care of it. Who you are at the core of being is not good enough. So what they do is they blend with the self. It is something called as blending. So for an example, it's like different ice creams melting. The main ice cream was something else, and then you put 2-3 scoops and then you let it melt. Then you are not able to recognize what the base ice cream was. So that is what happens to us. All these various parts which are stored in supposedly different parts of the bodies, so they merge, they blend with the self. So the work there which is done is gradually you have to isolate all those parts and unblending has to be done. So gradually when those parts are separate, you can see that this is a self. What spiritual practices talk about is same, but they say that all these thoughts, everything, you discard them as nonsense. No need to understand them. So this is going one step further and understanding them. Then we will talk about alternative modalities.
But before that, why is the mind, give a little perspective of the mind, body. So the thing is, I felt that was like groundbreaking for the process of learning and changing and growth. Because oftentimes you're either connected, like we'll go to the gym. I used to cycle regularly. I used to work very happy professionally. I used to wear good clothes. I had great friends, I thought. Every weekend I used to go have a lot of good time. So I thought it was pretty, till I got introduced the concept of the mind, body, the social you and the inner you. And then started going deeper and deeper to understanding that I was not even aware. Hota kya hai? Kuch cheesy. I was not even aware that the who am I question, right? Is who am I? Sowjanya Shetty. I get triggered sometimes, I get angry on certain things, but who doesn't? That's it. But it is when I went through this process of understanding is when I understood when you're not doing enough for your body, whether it's breath work, exercise, etc., it's got an impact on the mind. When your social you is not balanced, when any one of these is not in balance, the whole you is very imbalanced. So I want to spend some time so that one understands how these four feed into each other. And we're not taught about all this. No one talks to us. And yet it plays such a big role in our lives. Right.
Okay. So what you said that what I am at the core is the self. And then there is a social self where I have to take on different roles. I am a friend here, I am this here, I am that here. What happens in this role playing is a lot of times we get so engrossed in it, we forget the core of what we are. And we feel, okay, this is what I am, what else am I? But as we start losing touch with the core, a feeling of dissatisfaction which creeps up. So I also experienced this long back, which started this journey of inner work and spiritual meditations and everything. Everything was good. As you said, you had a circle, everything is sorted, but you feel there is a void inside. As if something is unfulfilled. A relationship is not able to fulfill it. A well-paying job, another degree, family settled, everything is good. But what is this? You can't identify what that is. So that is what the self is. It wants you to look inside. That you are not all this. All this is a role, you are just having a mask. It can be dropped at any time. When the time comes, you never know. So to be in touch with the core, with what the self is, that is the crux of all spiritual practices, healing, everything. It's like an onion, peeling an onion. More and more you start peeling, you see more and more layers. And at the end of it is maybe something or maybe nothing, I don't know. I am not there yet. Some people say it is nothing. Some people say it is something.
I've been told in this journey, as you peel, the art of letting go. You need to master that because
It's
that whole
difficult.
baggage that you're carrying, you need to start letting go, and then it becomes you're a shunya, like you're nothing, and you'll come to that. I don't know. I think I'm something yet.
When it will come, we will know.
So, what all types of therapies are there? What was the most interesting ones?
Okay. So, first we will start with the fastest. Let me give you a few sentences about shadow work. So, the shadow work is a concept. We have been talking about meditations and spiritual practices, awareness, all that. Shadow work is a concept which the West gave us. Generally, we say that meditation and all, it has gone from India. So that is in the awareness, and they call it light work. And shadow work was given to us by Carl Jung, the concept of a shadow. That there is a shadow beneath us, whatever we repress, whatever we suppress, that starts going in the shadows. And it is not like it is a dark and damaged parts of us. A lot of times good qualities, our power, that also gets suppressed in shadows. So once we start doing shadow work, we start revealing parts of us that we have suppressed due to guilt, shame or anything. We start getting more and more empowered. So the best therapies which are working for that right now is shadow work. So theoretically the number one modality for shadow work is using psychedelics. Psychedelic assisted psychotherapy, not for recreational purposes which they take in parties and all. So recently only John Hopkins has published a study, psilocybin versus escitalopram. Escitalopram is an antidepressant.
So one is your mushrooms and other sources.
Mushrooms, magic mushrooms, which we call.
Your medication.
The medication, antidepressant.
Fair.
So a study was done and 1 year follow-up was done. So it was found that 1 year of antidepressant therapy is equivalent to 2 sessions of taking those magic mushrooms.
2 sessions?
Yeah, 2 sessions. But then what is important there is, in all these things is setting and integration.
Okay.
So the mindset has to be that I have to go for healing, not like I have to going in a party and taking it. That can cause more harm. Then the setting has to be there where you are in a safe environment. You are with someone who is a good facilitator and experienced. Then integration process, because a lot of things come up during that thing, which gets confusing. So it at times I have read that a story plays out. It is your story, but you will not understand because the characters are something else, and we do not. If someone were to show our own lives in front of us and change the characters, we will not be able to identify our patterns. We think of ourselves as something else, doing something else. Some people think of themselves as more highly than they are. Some of us think of ourselves as that we are not that good. So we won't be able to identify that story. That is what happens in a proper psychedelic setting. So that thing comes up, you have to integrate it, like what it was. So again, a good facilitator is needed. That is very important. Then magic mushrooms and psychedelics, they have been banned since the 1960s. There have been underground work going on in a lot of countries, but otherwise legally they are banned. So definitely that it is a most viable option, almost the best option, but it is out of the table. What comes second best? Second is ketamine therapy. Okay.
Oh God.
So the next best option which is available and which is legal is
in
ketamine.
India?
In India, yeah. It is ketamine therapy. So ketamine is given by an intravenous route. It is an NMDA antagonist. I would not want to get into the technicalities much, but it gets you into a dissociative state, like a little away from the body. And in treatment-resistant depression, it is found to work really well. So a drip is given, 0.5 mg per kg, you have to give it for at least 1 hour, 1.5 hour. Session has to be there. Then a therapist has to be there with you and guide you. Generally, in a lot of places, they just give you the ketamine and they will put some music. But if it is guided by a therapist, then it works really well.
Okay.
Then I've seen wonders. So then, okay, ketamine is done. It is a good viable option. If nothing else is working, high doses of medications, antidepressants, nothing is working. Ketamine therapy is a good viable option.
How much does it cost in India?
It depends on various. There are a lot of factors, a lot of things, but 10 to 15,000 for a session per session, because the session at times can last for 3 hours also, if it is a proper session under proper guidance.
So none of this is under insurance. Is mental health under insurance?
It is being started covering under insurance. Some of the mental disorders are covered,
Okay.
but as far as I know, ketamine therapy is not covered under insurance yet. And even in therapies, only the CBT, talking therapy, only that might be covered. All these alternate modalities are not covered as of yet in India.
Okay.
Then the next path is, if someone says, I don't want any substance, I want to go natural. So then there is something called as holotropic breathwork. So I'm training under it, under Father Casey Thomas. He is the pioneer of holotropic breathwork in India. He went and learned under Dr. Stan Grof. So Dr. Stan Grof is a Czechoslovakian psychiatrist. He did a lot of research with psychedelics and psychiatric patients. So what he found is that even when they are given psychedelics, they breathe in a particular amount of way. So then he met a lot of Tibetan yogis, Hindu yogis, and researched a lot on breathwork, discussing with them all. So then it was found that hyperventilation, along with some evocative kind of music, which the person hasn't heard before, along with blindfolds, and then a sitter has to be with you. So that works wonderfully. So that is a good part of shadow work.
What is hyperventilation? Breaths out.
You can do that by nose also. Mouth is not necessary. So you just have to keep deep and long breaths, deep and long breathing. You have to do it. A session generally lasts somewhere between 2 to 2.5 hours. So it is a intense breathwork session. It takes people into some different kind of states. There has also been research that some psychedelics which we give from outside, so like DMT is naturally released after so much intense breathwork in small quantities. So again, you have visions and like that. And some shift happens. Like when I also went for it, I did not expect anything, but some shift kind of happened, like something lightened inside my being. And I felt an instant rise in my self-confidence. So I was like, there is something there. So then I started training for it. So these are the most powerful modalities. Then I already told you about family constellation. That was amazing. Then again, I told you I'm training under Romshe Ashish in the academy. Yeah.
If I were to bring all this together, for anybody who's listening and watching this, first is become aware. Second is acceptance of what you've discovered.
Yeah.
And then third is start the healing process. And the healing process is multifaceted. It's breath, it's food, it's health, it's workouts, etc. It's being connected with yourself. There are alternatives that you can look at. But if you are facing some of those critical symptoms, then start with psychiatry and go the other way.
Yes.
Is this the right thing?
Yeah, correct.
ये आपने कितने साल में पढ़ा?
I finished psychiatry. Once you're done,
5 years. No, MBBS 5 years.
MBBS 5 years and psychiatry 3 years. After this you start learning. This is nothing. इसको हटा दो सब. And I'm still learning. I think I will take 10 more years, or maybe whole lifetime. I don't know. There's so much to learn.
Who are some of the most pioneering people in India who are really working on all this?
In India, psychedelic research is not being done. I inquired even in NIMHANS, because it is illegal. Then a few, most research anywhere in India, generally people think of NIMHANS. So whatever, if any research is not done in NIMHANS, generally it won't be done anywhere. Because I heard that NIMHANS was also, some departments of it was doing some research on Gayatri Mantra, its effects on mental health. Then there is a separate department of yoga. So yeah, they are the pioneers. In most of it. But there are a lot of freelancers working in these things, a lot of healers. So like I forgot to tell you about one thing. There is something called as Akashic records. This is a bit very off from the topic, but somehow I felt like mentioning it. So you will find so many of them doing this, charging. How many of them are genuine, I have no idea. I luckily got a genuine one. I don't remember the country she's from. Alex, her name is Alex. So if you're sensitive enough and they start reading your Akashic records, it is like the book of your soul being opened. And there are lifetimes of lessons in it. There are so many things in it. So that is the way of dealing with the trauma I told you about, which we incur from past lives. So if there is a proper facilitator, that also can be looked upon it. There are endless modalities. But these are what I know, and these are what have worked for me and for a lot of people I know.
What's one of the most interesting experiences you had for yourself when you went through alternate healing?
One, as I shared, from that family constellation therapy. And so recently I went to it. So that was that. Then holotropic breathworks. I've seen personality shifts in myself, as I again mentioned. So these are the few.
Anything that stood out as, oh my God, this was crazy?
Family constellation.
You're still not able to explain what happened.
I'm not,
Why?
Logically, I don't know the why and if of it. And also, there are things like which scientifically you cannot explain. Like I went to her with some other issues. She just was like, okay, let me tune in. Let me find out what the real issue is. And it was some other issue.
Tune in with what?
With herself.
But you have the problem. How can she tune in into herself?
The more you're tuned in with yourself, the more of the self you know. Everyone has the same self. That is what the spiritual circles say. So this she did in front of me.
Wow.
She identified some core area which I have not discussed with her, which I had discussed with some other people. I did not discuss it with her. So how she could relate, I can't explain logically. There is no explanation.
Sagar, when it comes to, do you listen to Osho?
Yeah, I've read about him a lot. I've heard about him.
I found most of what he says, of course, if you go beyond that to everything else about Osho, I found it to be too, it lingers between morality and everything else. I have my own take. But I thought what he says makes a lot of sense.
He has read a lot of Western psychology. He's through it. So he is a mixture of Eastern mysticism plus Western psychology. He was a professor. So there was a time he finished all the books in his library. So they had to get more for him. He was someone exceptional. What happened, what not happened, we can't judge what happened with him. But he was someone exceptional. That is for sure. Yeah. There have been a lot of exceptional beings in India.
Like?
Osho, Raman Maharshi, many, many more actually. We can just read about them. A lot of times when they are there, you do not understand the importance of them.
Any other questions? No, right? Anything else from your end we missed?
I think we covered almost everything.
No?
Yeah.
Huh? Okay. Well, Sagar, thank you so much.
This
has been a very beautiful conversation filled with multiple events of power breaks. But thank you so much. A very important conversation that we had to have as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good? Okay.